Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Top Tarot Miners. It has been a long day at work, so if you don't mind just indulging me, I'm going to read a little bit and then I will riff about these cards. And I want to welcome you back to this series of just really sitting and reflecting with what, for me, makes the very best in a tarot card. On center stage here is from the Marielle Tarot. This is a Grail Night, which is often one of the interpretations of this card. And if you're new, hello, welcome, I'm Sadhana. The Grail is the meaning of your life, and I'm reading from Marie White's book. Your heart, not only the physical heart, but the spiritual one. It is the center of your being and the source of life, strength, and sustenance. Your reason for being. This is Percival with his vermilion armor and wife Blanche Fleur, white flower. Again, there is the red and white, as in the red and white horses in the Two of Cups, and the water bled by the wounded Christ on the cross, body and soul, blood and spirit, holding and sustaining each other. The red and the white, and the sacred marriage of the ego and the self. And with that union, blood and water can flow. In the Grail legend, Percival saw the Grail early in his journeys at the castle of the crippled Fisher King, and the Grail had been passed around the table, but no one ever took from it. He wanted to ask who it served, but thought it impolite. And he had been instructed not to talk too much, and so remained quiet, never finding out who the Grail served. Later, he found out that if he had asked who the Grail served, he would have healed the Fisher King. Percival was a true innocent and just like all children, perfect and divine. But that is not enough to hold the Grail. It also takes knowledge and experience and compassion to know, act, and show compassion to the Fisher King, to ask the right question. Allows you to hold the Grail in your hands. To ask the right question allows you to hold the Grail in your hands. And how many times have you heard me say this? And I know I'm not doing live readings right now. I am doing them new moons and full moons now for members only on the channel. Carnelian members, everybody's welcome from that level. But when I was doing it regularly, this was my thing. Getting so frustrated with poor questions. And if we can learn to ask good questions, we can find healing. Deep, deep healing. And this is just such a potent message here. So if we want to drink from this cup, if we want to heal our heart, find our purpose, connect with spirit, align spirit and ego and body and mind and heart and soul, we need to be willing to ask good questions, to feel and to find our way into what is going on here in this lifetime. Now, this is a very juicy read for this card in this book, but I'm going to go back to the beginning of her description, where she talks about the relationship of the Hanged Man, which is the 12th card, which is the Fisher King in this deck, to the Knights. And this is something I often, I don't know if I forget it, it's just not a level that I go to. And I know this comes up as well too, because I want to talk about this Wee Moon card here as well. Okay, so the 12th Arcanum is connected in the Marielle Tarot to the Knights as a number 2. And if you number the court cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, often the Knights are numbered 2. And this has a deep connection to the High Priestess. And if you are aware of that connection to the moon, the watery energy of the high priestess, the watery energy of the hanged man, however it is presented, it is often golden dawn-wise connected to primordial water. It is a deep inner reflection. In the Wee Moon Tarot, there are 4 court cards. They are renamed. This is the Wee Moon here. The second court card are priestesses of the element. Those who dive into the waters of the element and deeply feel, intuit the element. And so what is a Knight of Cups? This is a really hard question. This is such an important night that, sometimes it gets dummied down to this really pathetic description. Oh yes, this is the night of romantic love. This is, you're going to fall in love and meet your Prince Charming and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, not so much. This is about you and your healing and your awakening of your dream body and your feeling, your emotional body. There's something about, I put one of these, this is the Gassman Tarot. This is beautiful tarot deck. I've been featuring this quite a bit in my Tarot de Marseille series. One of my favorites. And one of the things about the Knights of Cups and I know this is not a straight up Tarot de Marseille, but let's just call it that, is the way they hold the cup. Almost as if there's no way they could ride a horse the way that they hold the cup in the Knight of Cups. It's just sort of balanced on their hand. And it's a mystery to me. But now the more I think about this, the more that I understand that they couldn't hold it any other way because of their reverence towards it and their understanding of what a magical, mystical object it is. In this particular tarot deck, it's covered, which is also a protection for the knight. We want to be careful about the contents of the cup. And there's all kinds of stories, Pandora's box kind of stories. So having the lid on at times is a really, I think, important part of the consideration. When I am teaching tarot, and for the most part, it's from a beginner's perspective, and I've been teaching a course I call Tarot Foundations 1 for some time. If you're interested in any of my classes, they're linked down below. I come in through a Waite Smith-inspired interpretation, and then we go a little bit deeper in the next course. And I lost my train of thought. Twos, knights, high priestess, holding the cup reverently, the lid on the cup. Maybe it will come back to me. I'll just keep sharing. So this cup holds this brilliant energy for us to find and seek. And all of the knights are seekers, right? They're all journeyers. And when the knights arrive in a reading, change is afoot, right? Change is, the knights invite you to change. Hi, Perry, welcome. And you are welcome. What I was going to say, I now remember, is that there is some variation, I don't know if you'd call it controversy, around the zodiacal associations of the court cards. Queens, not so much, generally cardinal signs. The knights, however, because of the title changes, the elemental changes can be air or fire. And generally speaking, I connect them with air and with mutable signs. They are on horses. They are moving. And this particular water knight, for me is Scorpio. And I think I understand why he has the lid on the cup. Now, these astrological associations are not part of the Tarot de Marseille journey. The esoterics of tarot came in some century later. However, there is some aspect of this that even using an older deck like this, that I most definitely can incorporate. It's such an important part of the process and why you would come to a tarot reading. I mean, of course, some people come for rather mundane questions, and I'm happy to support that part of people's journey. But for the most part, people come when they are struggling and things are not going well. And to get a night is such a good thing, because it tells me you can do this. You are open to change, and here we go. And here we go deep into the waters of your life, deep into your karmas, your journeys, water is such a huge metaphor here. Margaret Peterson. This is such a brilliant, energetic deck. I did a deep dive with this deck some time ago on my channel, and I've done lots of deep dives with many decks, and when I do a deep dive, it is over many, many, many videos. I don't know if Margaret Peterson video was 12 or 18, or I don't remember, but you will find it. There's a lot of videos on it, and many of my deep dives are partially members only and partially public, so you'll at least get a few free ones there. And this deck is just taps into your energy body in such a powerful way. And here you can see the Son of Cups. The Knight of Cups is one with the water. And I'm not going to read you the poem from this book. It kind of goes in a different direction, but he flows with, not against, the water. And there's a courage, right? A courage that is necessary here to ask the kind of questions. Like I said at the very beginning, this is about the courage to ask the right kind of questions, to dive into the mystery and the healing of yourself. It's potent stuff. Over here, Yes. Perry says reaffirmation and comfort. So often when people do ask a question in a reading, they know the answer. They just need to hear it from another voice, right? Yeah, change. Change is a big one. And how to navigate change. This is the Philarcos Tarot, PH Philarcos, by Carmen Sorrenti. And in her deck, the knights are called trails, and they are all in black and white. And I want to share with you a little bit from the PDF book. The trails are the spiritual psychopomps of the deck. They are named after the paths that enable us to find our way home when lost in the woods. They are active paths. Their teachings are wise, and their advice may be quite practical. In a black and white version of a painting, tones and shades transpire in ways we cannot see when the colors present. These serve as the skeletal structure and backbone onto which the possibilities of the ace can stratify. So in this deck, there's a deep relationship between the aces and the knights, which are in black and white. I'm going to just skip to the page with the Trail of Coral. This is an image. A figure stands in water under a full moon. Descending and ascending birds ride her arms. 2 jousting horses flank the moon. This secret is the life of everything, and it is the water. And water takes in, sorry, this is a quote that I'm reading you. The secret, this secret is the life of everything, and it is water. And water takes in hand nourishment of man and other things. And in water is the greatest secret. This is from Rosarium, and I'm sure that's in translation. Your dreams swim in her hands like bright fish, shimmering with pulsing textures. Their motion forms phosphorescent patterns in her hair, a kind of wiring that allows her to access every nuance of a dream so that she may walk you through the maze. She can gauge what stride is needed for every change of state, and she shows you how to feel your way in the dark. It is through the sphere of emotions, through the working of storms of effect, that we spiritualize matter and incarnate spirit. The birds of ascent and descent, solve et coagula, you make and unmake your current standpoint and your current identity. This is the slow process of transformation through separation and unification. She's got a bunch of other beautiful quotes here. So this is a guide, right? This is a guide to take you journeying into your emotional body, right? It's funny. I don't want you, if you're studying the tarot, learning the tarot, to dummy down the court cards. Often I hear questions like, well, is this somebody in my life? Or how do I know if this is somebody in my life or this is me? And it could be both, because that somebody in your life is shining something back at you, holding up a mirror, reflecting something to you, for you to look deeper into your journey. And this Knight of Cups energy wants you to be brave and ask the hard questions so you can heal and find your way in the darkness. Now, the darkness is is a synonym for the water. In the tarot, in spirituality, black, dark, night equals feminine equals water. And so we dive into moon as well too, right? So we dive into the waters and the flow of these dark places to find our way to healing. And this night is a guide for that. I have a few other cards on the table. This one is kind of brilliant. So if you're not a neurobiologist type, if you haven't done any brain anatomy in a little while, go to Google and look up hippocampus. And what is the function of the hippocampus? And this particular mythological being is also known as a hippocampus. So we have this play on words in this card between hippocampus and hippocampus. This particular knight holds out a cup, a teacup, looks back to a castle, has been on a journey through the water. This feels like a fairy tale, right? It feels like a deep, maybe he's not choosing to go away. But it's the play on the hippocampus that really got me with this card, because that part of the brain is the one that allows us to feel. And I just think this is a really clever card. Now, the Narcissus in the front, this deck is a slow tarot, and it's just full of, that children's book series, Where's Waldo? It's kind of like that. There's hidden things. So many. I mean, every tarot deck usually has quite a bit of hidden stuff, but this is the Where's Waldo of tarot, the slow tarot. And the Narcissus, it's not hidden. It's right there in the front of the card. And so we also must remember the big picture of this watery journey and not get too self-absorbed. This is for your healing. And it's funny, I want to share something with you here, and I don't know exactly how this connects, but it just came to me. When you go to a retreat, or you're in a circle of some kind, or if you have friends that do a lot of sharing, you'll often hear people tell the same stories over and over and over again. And usually people continue to tell these stories over and over and over because they're still in the process of healing. They haven't healed yet. And I remember one of my wonderful teachers, or somebody asked her a question and said, how do you know when you have processed the emotion? And the test really is that you can tell this story and tears don't come to the corners of your eyes. Your body temperature doesn't change. Emotionally, your voice doesn't change. All of a sudden, the story transforms and you could use it to inspire or guide another. So when you hear people telling a story and they get all excited and emotional or teary or angry, you know that they're still deep in the process of healing. And I just think it's a good thing to know. I'm just saying this because of the Narcissus, and we need to be sensitive to this and compassionate, empathetic. Some people need a lot of hand-holding to walk through this, and oftentimes haven't found a guide, a teacher, a counselor, a therapist, a good friend who's done therapy to guide them out of the water. They don't know how to let it go. And so in this energy, it can be very self-absorbed or appear that way. And I think that's why the Narcissus is here. Yeah. Thank you for all these beautiful comments, Perry. This is a gorgeous card. This is the Priestess from the Wee Moon, and I spoke to that beautiful connection with High Priestess and twos and knights. This card is called Lunar Consciousness. And that's one of the things I do in Tarot Foundations. One is connect majors and minors and numbers. And I think the more you practice and study that, the deeper you can take your readings. It's really kind of beautiful. This was a hard card to find enough cards to put on the table today, quite frankly. And I only had 5. And then I went and I, quickly grabbed a couple more because I know everybody likes to see cards. This is from the Osho Zen. And the Osho Zen Tarot has some quite brutal court cards, some brilliant ones. This one is the Knight of Water. And whether you see this as sky or water, and there are keywords on this deck. I cut them off years ago. It's about trust, right? Letting go. We can't heal and dive into our waters until we let go. There is a cord, there is a tether that I'm just having a really interesting thought here. So I mentioned this connection to 12, to Hanged Man, water card, primordial water. And you know how the Hanged Man in many cards is tethered. And so maybe this journey from Hanged Man to Knight is about cutting that tether. Maybe in the Hanged Man card we get an opportunity to reflect deep enough to shift perspective to let that tether go. Yeah. All right. So I hope that helps. You know, part of me doing this series was to help you in your readings with some of these cards and to better connect to them. This is in no way a here's some great decks that you need to buy kind of thing. That's not my intention at all. And if you ever have questions, please down below ask away. Okay, I'm really happy to answer questions down below. Yeah, and if you want to study, also down below. So for today, top 5 Knight of Cups cards. Wow. Well, I really like this one from the Wee Moon Tarot. And I love that priestess connection that is there. And I think the Grail Knight from the Marielle is pretty darn special. And there is something very potent about the interconnection of the Son of Cups. And I mentioned I don't really like the description that's in this book. For the most part, the guidebook for the Margaret Peterson Tarot is amazing. This one is, I don't know, there's just something a little off here, but I love the art and the way that this knight is flowing freely. There's also, look at what's on the bottom. It's like, it feels like the Scorpio journey, right? We dive into, who knows what we're going to find on the bottom. Yeah. Okay, so there's 3. There are 3. Unexpected. Didn't even plan for that one. And I'm going to go with the hippocampus. Okay, so top 5 Knight of Cups, left to right. And as always, for today, Osho Zen Tarot, Margaret Peterson, Marielle, Wee Moon, Slow. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you, Perry, for your support in the chat. Namaste. Have a lovely rest of your day, everybody.